This recording is for the assignment that's called rational equations. So rational means that things can be written as a fraction. So these are solving equations that have fractions in them or are written in fraction form. So let's go over some examples. First one is 5 over a plus 1/2 equals 6 over a. Now the trick to these is that we look at the denominators. So I look at the denominators of every term in that equation, so a, 2, and I look for the least common denominator. In this case it would be 2a. So what happens is I actually want to multiply every single term by 2a. So what does that look like? You might need some scratch paper to do this, but we have 5 over a times 2a over 1. And remember, we multiply straight across. So 5 times 2a is 10a, a times 1 is a, and then we always have to reduce our fractions. So we notice that the a's divide out, so we're left with just 10. Okay, we do this for every single term. So we have 1/2 times 2 over a. We get 2a over 2. We notice the 2's cancel, so we're left with just a. Here, 6 over a times 2a. The a's cancel, and so we end up with just 12. So our new equation is going to be 10 plus a equals 12. Now notice this is much easier to solve. So all we have to do is subtract 10 from both sides and we get a equals 2. Now we do have to double check our answer because sometimes if we plug it in, it might try to cause us to divide by 0 and we don't want to do that. So if I plug 2 in there, I don't have any issues with dividing by 0, so we can actually consider that our answer. Next example, 5 over 2x plus 6 minus 2 equals 1 minus 8x over 4x. Again, if we have something bigger, we always want to factor it so that we can see all of its components, because it may be that we have some things in common. Now if I have a whole number, remember that its denominator is 1. And so in our case, we need to look at the 2 times x plus 3, the 1, and the 4x. So 2 does go into 4, so we know that we want a 4 in there. We need an x, and we need an x plus 3. And that should cover everybody. So next, we need to multiply. So we have 5 over this 2 times x plus 3 times this 4x times x plus 3 over 1. So we see what divides out. Again, you can always reduce as you go along or reduce in the end, it doesn't matter. But notice the x plus 3's are going to cross cancel, and 2 does go into 4 twice. So what are we left with? Well, we have a 5 times 2 times x on the top. On the bottom we have a 1 times 1, which is 1, and so we end up with just 10x. Okay, so we want to keep doing this throughout the whole thing. So we have 10x, and then notice that 2, nothing's going to cross cancel. So it's 2 times the 4x times the x plus 3. So that's going to be minus 8x times the x plus 3. And then the last one, notice the 4 x's are going to cancel, and so we have 1 minus 8x times x plus 3. So now we need to simplify. So we have to distribute this, and we're going to have to FOIL this one. So we have 10x minus 8x squared minus 24x. And then FOILing this one, 1 times x is x, 1 times 3 is 3, negative 8x times x is minus 8x squared, and minus 8x times 3 is minus 24x. Now we need to combine like terms, so these two are alike. These two are alike. So we have the negative 8x squared, but we have 10 minus 24. That gives us negative 14x equals. Then over here we have the negative 8x squared, and then x minus 24x is minus 23x, and then plus the 3. Now we need to start moving things over. So if I add 8x squared to both sides, that becomes 0. So I have negative 14x on the left. That becomes 0. I have negative 23x plus 3. So then if I add 23x to both sides, running out of room a little bit. So we have negative 14 plus 23. That gives us 9x. So we have, I'm going to write it over here, 9x, and then over here that cancels equals 3. So if we divide by 9, we get 3 ninths. But we want to reduce that, and that becomes 1/3. So our answer is going to be 1/3. Now we look and we want to make sure that that doesn't interfere. Okay? So we always have to check our answer to make sure that we're not dividing by 0. Here there's no issues, so we can count that as our solution. Next example. So again, we want to factor as much as possible so that we can see the components. So a minus 3 doesn't do much, a minus 2 doesn't do much, but the a squared minus 5a plus 6. We also might want to go ahead and do the numerators as well, because that might help as we are working to reduce our fractions. So on the top, we need factors of 27 that add to a negative 8. So if we look at the factors of 27, it's 1 and 27 or 3 and 9. None of those are going to add to 8. So the top stays the way it is. That actually doesn't factor so easily. But we always want to check. Now on the bottom, we need factors of 6 that add to 5. So that would be 2 and 3. Now we need to look at our denominators. So we have an a minus 3, an a minus 2, and an a minus 2 times a minus 3. So we actually want to multiply each and every one by the a minus 2, a minus 3. Same thing. So what we notice is on the first one, the a minus 3's are going to cancel. So we're left with 2 times a minus 1 times a minus 2. Minus sign because that's there. On the second one, the a minus 2's cancel. So we're left with a minus 3 times a minus 3. And then notice I have those a minus 2, a minus 3 on the top and the bottom, so those both will cancel, and so we just have what's on top. Now we actually need to FOIL this. So we want to FOIL the a minus 1 and the a minus 2, and then multiply it by 2. And then we have to FOIL the a minus 3 times a minus 3. So here we'll have the 2, and then we have a squared minus 2a minus a plus 2, combined like terms. So we have 2 times a squared minus 3a plus 2. So multiplying the 2 through, we get 2a squared minus 6a plus 4. Then we have to FOIL this part. So we get a squared minus 3a minus 3a plus 9 gives us a squared minus 6a plus 9, but we're subtracting that entire thing, so it changes all of our signs. So on the left side of our equation, we have 2a squared minus 6a plus 4 minus a squared plus 6a minus 9. Now here is where we need to combine like terms. So 2a squared minus a squared is just 1a squared. And then we have negative 6a plus 6a is 0. And then we have 4 minus 9 gives us negative 5. And then we set that equal to our right side of our equation, which is this guy here, a squared minus 8a plus 27. Now we start moving things around. So I'm going to subtract a squared from both sides. 0 there. Negative 5 equals, that's 0. Minus 8a plus 27. I'm going to subtract 27 from both sides. Over here I get negative 8a. 27, negative 5 minus 27 is a negative 32. Divide by a negative 8, and we get a equals 4. Now we have to make sure and double check. I don't think there'll be an issue in our original. If I plug in 4, nope, no issues, so that's our answer. Next one, a squared plus 1 over a squared minus 1 minus 2 over a plus 1 equals a over a minus 1. Okay, so the only thing that factors is this bottom denominator. That becomes a plus 1 times a minus 1, and that's exactly what we have for all of the others. So we want to multiply every term by a plus 1 times a minus 1. I must accidentally hit a clear button. Sorry about that. Okay, so now what we see on the first one is that both of those cancel, so we're left with a squared plus 1. Here, just the a minus 1's cancel, so I'm left with 2 times a plus 1. And the last one, the a minus 1's cancel, so I'm left with a times a plus 1. Now it's a matter of multiplying and simplifying and then solving. So distribute the 2, distribute the a. So we have a squared plus 1, and then minus 2a minus 2. Remember, minus signs also go with that distribution. Then we have a squared plus a there. So on the left we have a squared minus 2a minus 1 equals a squared plus a. Now we need to continue to solve. Okay, so let me just rewrite that here. Okay, so now it's time to actually solve. So subtract a squared from both sides, 0. Negative 2a minus 1 equals a. Add the 2a to both sides. We get negative 1 equals 3a. Divide by 3. So x equals negative 1/3. Again, check your answer, but this one works. Next example. So here they're just trying to trick you a little bit by having a mixed number. We can always change mixed numbers back into an improper fraction. So we take the whole number 2, multiply it by the denominator of the fraction part, 5, and then add the numerator. So this would be 2 times 5 is 10, plus 2 is 12/5. Now, what happens is we have 1 over 12/5. Well, remember that fractions mean divide. So this is 1 divided by 12/5. Now remember, we don't actually divide, we multiply. But we flip the second one. And so if I multiply 1 times 5/12, I get 5/12. So I can actually rewrite this guy as 5/12. I can do the same thing with the other guy. So if I have 2 2/3, that becomes 2 times 3 is 6. 6 plus 2 over 3. So that's 8/3. But I have 1 divided by 8/3 becomes 1 times 3/8, which is 3/8. So that means I can rewrite the 1 over 2 2/3 as 3/8. So here's what that looks like now. 2/3 plus, now if we go back and look, 5/12 instead. And this one was 3/8 instead. much better than it was. And now we have to look at all of our denominators. So we have 3, 12, x, 3, and 8. And we need a common denominator for all of those. So this one might be a little tricky, but we know 3 goes into 12. So it's really a matter of 12 and 8 and the x. And so we know that 12 and 8 both go into 24. So we actually want to multiply every single term by 24x. Ah! I did it again. I accidentally hit the clear button. Hopefully I won't do that again. Okay, so again, 2/3 times 24x over 1. We realize that 3 goes into 24 8 times, so we have 2 times 8x, which is really 16x. The next one, we have 5/12 times 24x over 1. We realize that the 12 goes into 24 twice, so we have 5 times 2x, which is really 10x. The next one, we have 1 over x times 24x over 1. What we see is that the x's cancel, and we end up with 1 times 24, which is just 24. So on and so forth, right? So the 1/3 becomes 8x, and the 3/8 becomes 8 goes into the 24 3 times 3x is 9x. And then we need the signs that go in between all of these. And there's our new equation that we want to work with. So we want to combine like terms. 16 plus 10 is 26x minus 24. 8x minus 9x is minus x. So we want to subtract 26x from both sides. We get 24 equals negative 27x. Divide both sides by a negative 27. X equals, and then we want to reduce that. Doesn't look like it can reduce, but it can. 3 goes into both of those, and so we get negative 8/9. Next example, this is our final example. Y minus 1/2 over 3 minus 2y plus 2 over 2y plus 1 equals 2y plus 1/2 over 6. Here we need to look at our denominators again. 3 goes into 6, so we'll want to use the 6, but then we also need the 2y plus 1. So we're multiplying every one by the 6 times 2y plus 1. Alright, 3 goes into 6 twice. So we have a y minus 1/2 times a 2 times 2y plus 1. Then the 2y plus 1's cancel, so I'm left with 6 times 2y plus 2. And then here the 6's cancel, so I'm left with 2y plus 1/2 times the 2y plus 1. Now, for a second, let's just go ahead and multiply these out. I'm going to multiply this 2 through real quick. So we have y minus 1/2 times 4y plus 2. I'm going to multiply the 6 all the way through. So we have 12y plus 12, and then we have to FOIL this one. Okay, so let's focus on this foiling. So we FOIL the same way. So y times 4y is 4y squared. Y times 2 is 2y. Half of 4y. So remember, half times 4y is the same as half of 4y. So that's going to give us 2y. Half times 2 is half of 2, which is going to be 1. So now we end up with 4y squared. These two cancel, or go to 0, minus 1. Now let's look at the other foiling. Same kind of concept. So 2y times 2y is 4y squared. 2y times 1 is 2y. Half times 2y is half of 2y, which is just y, 1y. Half of 1 is 1/2. Combine like terms, so we have 4y squared plus 3y plus 1/2. Now let's rewrite that all together. So we have 4y squared minus 1 minus 12y minus 12 equals 4y squared plus 3y plus 1/2. So that's going back and picking up these two pieces that we just did mixed with this middle piece that we had already finished. Now we need to combine like terms. So these are like terms, and that's about it. So 4y squared minus 12y minus 13 equals 4y squared plus 3y plus 1/2. Now we can do a couple different things. Here with the 1/2, we could multiply everything by 2 and get rid of the 1/2. If that makes everything better. If I do that, then I get 8y squared minus 24y minus 26 equals 8y squared plus 6y plus 1. Again, a lot of different ways to do the same problem. So I need to subtract 8y squared from both sides. Those cancel. So I have negative 24y minus 26 equals 6y plus 1. Now we want to add 24y to both sides. I get 30y there. Subtract 1 from both sides. Negative 27 equals 30y. Divide by 30. So we have negative 27/30, but that does reduce because 3 can go into both. And so if we divide both of those by 3, then we get 9/10. So y equals 9/10 negative. So that's the end of this recording. Now you need to call, text, or Skype message me so I can ask you a couple questions and you can get credit for this assignment. Have a great day.